Hello there, and welcome to episode 4 of R2P2, where despite the numerous technical difficulties you're having pre-pod, you will not find our lack of faith in this team disturbing, because we still have much faith. But Keith Richards here, and then from Pitcast, Matt Wickham. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good. We really did go with the Star Wars theme. None of our tech was working. The old droids definitely needed to be taken to like Watto's shop and scrapped or something.
Yeah. It was, uh, maybe we need to have 3PO show us the protocol on technology, because it was not going well. For the first last 15 minutes.
Who's 3PO? Should we make Matt Pollard 3PO?
Oh, he would definitely be 3PO. He knows everything about everything. But has been a whole lot going on since our last pod. 2 matches. We'll get into those. But first, we got some news from Coruscant. Academy players Luke Dixon and Zamir Ramirez Venezuela are both called up to the U14 Boys National Team for our upcoming national ID camp. It's the first call up for both of the boys in the international system, so good up on him. As the Rapids continue to ruin the future of U.S. men's national team, and we do it proudly. And then the really big news: former Rapids Academy standout, everyone knows him, everyone loves him. Darren Yapi reached a big milestone, signed a U22 contract with the first team this past week. The contract goes through 2029 with an option for the 2029, or yeah, it goes to 20. I hate have to say this. Goes through 28 to 29 with an option for the 29-30 season. I think we'll both agree it's a well-earned contract for Darren. He's been on the up and up since 2024, really. But I think really is starting to blossom under Matt Wells. I mean, they can't keep him off the field because Rafa's not going to get off the field on him to play. They've been putting him out as winger, and he's been doing a damn fine job at it, I think.
Yeah, I love that. He said repeatedly that it's really hard to be a young striker in the league because so many clubs in MLS have DP strikers. So for him, it's about finding the minutes wherever on the field he gets on, and he has converted those minutes into production, and this is a well-earned reward for that production.
Yeah, a great clip from his interview with Braden Nurse from the D Paper Record Post. He said he's been scoring goals since he came out of his mother's womb. So very confident, and that's what you want in your, and I guess not DP, but U22 striker. I think we're going to see a lot of great things from him. Possibly, if he keeps going the way that he does, he's going to be on that sold market possibility. Especially with that U22 contract, it's very attractive for other teams. It's very attractive for even international teams as well. So we hope he stays here. But it's a big step in that U22 contract.
I hope he goes every once. I think the sky's the limit for Darren. One thing we were talking about, all of us as a group at the event last night at the F1 arcade celebrating Darren Yapi's contract signing, was there was like an 11-year-old he was signing a ball for, and just the poetic nature of that, like Yapi joining the academy at 11, signing at 16, getting this U22 deal at 21. He's the absolute advertisement for the academy. Like if I were an R2 or an academy kid right now, seeing Darren Yapi sign that contract, I'd be jazzed out of my mind to go out there this week in training, this weekend in your match, and just play out of your mind because literally the example is right in front of you. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, we also talked about who might possibly be the next homegrown U22 signing. I think we landed on Alex Hernandez, which just makes sense the way that Darren Yappi's contract comes up. Not saying that they wouldn't re-up him on another deal. I mean, the only way he can go on a deal is now a DP. But if that is the case, Alex is waiting right there if he continues to improve the way that he has been to get that homegrown deal and then be the next U22 from the academy system.
Yeah, definitely not shy on the pipeline. I know the current homegrown players we talked about with Brian last night. We've got Grant Gilmore, who I think you can expect big things. He's number 55 on Rapids 2, center back. Zach Campagnolo, who we always gush about in goal. and then Nathan Chumba, with the now youngest contract signed with the Rapids, previously held by Darren Yapi. So definitely a pipeline of talent, definitely names and personalities to keep an eye on. I think, speaking of the pipelines and the pathways, it is college commitment season. The first one to come down the pipeline is going to be Landon Strohmeyer. He has announced his commitment to University of Michigan soccer in the fall. I think this is really cool for him. As an aside, Keith, I know you witnessed this as well. We were at the R2 game against Houston this past weekend, and the Strohmeyer clan was out in numbers when Landon came on the field. It was an absolute uproar, one of the loudest points in the game. And you love to see that. It's one of my favorite parts about those R2 games at DU is how familial, how communal, just how Friday Night Lights they feel. You can hear everything, especially the jubilation from friends and fans when your guy comes on the field. I thought we had a really cool conversation with Brian last night about this as well. As you, me, Mitch Carroll from Commerce City Radio, talking about the various pathways that the kids have in front of them nowadays. So we have Landon committing to go play soccer at University of Michigan. Similarly, last year, fans will remember we talked a lot about Colton Swan on Pidcast. He committed to Indiana, and then lo and behold, he now is playing for Charleston Battery in the USLC. I think what's cool about that, Brian was telling us, is that by committing to a school like Indiana, he now has the ability to go back to school anytime after this playing career and have that education paid for, highly subsidized. So he's just opened up so many different avenues for himself, and I think he's doing really well in the USL. On a similar note, we almost lost Vinny Rinaldi last year to college commitment, but the team really liked him and signed him to a contract to keep him here for further development. So the fact that these young kids have so many different avenues to progress their careers and see through their soccer goals, but also their life goals, is really heartening to watch.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about it is no matter which path they take, next pro, college, or USL, they're gonna get paid more than any 17, 18, 19-year-old that they know. I mean, I don't know what the minimum is for next pro, but I would imagine it's more than you would get as a shift lead at Culver's. Um, Definitely is gonna be more probably the best financially. But then just we look at the overall compensation that college brings when you throw in that they have NIL now and the pathway that you can come back and get your degree highly subsidized, that in itself is probably worth 200K that you could save yourself. So it gives them many options whether they wanna go hard on football now, whether they wanna do a couple year of college and then go hard on football, then they can come back and finish their degree. If they wanna take the baby steps that Next Pro brings, but still make a good chunk of change, I think it's great for them that all those options are available to them.
Yeah, I mean, we were tossing around numbers about those NIL deals these days. Definitely nothing to shake your head at. And then that brings up the point of, with the draft changes, what we see the Rapids do a lot is draft these sophomores in college, have them stay in their college programs to be comfortable, to develop more, to work towards their degree, and then they hold their rights for the next 2 years after the draft to give them the time to stay in college and then make the decision to come to the team. So a lot of youth development system work still needs to be done in the lower tiers of soccer, but I think what we're seeing around the actual academy ages and that kind of 18 plus college pathway versus pro and pro am pathways are really cool.
Yeah, other things going on that we won't discuss as far as financial trust and all these other things, we'll leave that alone.
You don't want to talk KKR?
No,
You don't want to talk,
we're not
you don't want to talk Toys R Us?
we're not talking about the KGB. No.
You don't want to, I mean, we should acknowledge a pretty seismic
No.
announcement came across the airwaves about private equity getting into MLS Next Pro via KKR, the firm famous for just how wonderfully they fixed Toys R Us, and how that worked out for them. So it's definitely it's definitely caught some eyes. There's been some writing about it. I pointed out Wes Burdine in Minnesota wrote a nice piece. You can check him out on Blue Sky and his socials about what the private equity infusion to the MLS Next Pro landscape could look like. And I think as far as R2 is concerned, we don't have to worry about that. I think what they do for new franchises, stadium infrastructure, and other places in the country is where it's going to come into fold, but definitely something to keep an eye on. I just lost you, Keith.
Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. Who knows? Maybe it could be a great thing at the end of the day. I have my doubts about it. Um, but we'll see. I guess. Well, at least it doesn't affect Rapid Dose, and that's what matters. Um, so we did have a couple matches, since the last time we recorded. Unfortunately, still looking for that first win. Which seems to be highly elusive. Honestly, the last two matches, I thought, even after, I guess we'll get to Vancouver first. So this is a Vancouver Whitecaps team that had yet to beat um Rapids 2, not even in the shootout. They overcame that hurdle. um, I thought for sure they were going to win that match. Anali, opened the scoring in the ninth minute, but it really felt like rocking the t-shirts they were gonna yeah, they wore t-shirts that match. Story is both teams brought white kits to the party. Um, and Rapids were told no. So they had to wear t-shirts. But
I want to stop on this for a second because this is my favorite part about the game. You and I both had the same take. Like, are they? No, they're not. Wait, they're really wearing t-shirts? And it was the black with the blue accent, like Rapids logo training shirts. So I thought maybe like all of a sudden they'd got a new colorful Colorado jersey for R2. And you can't really see on these Next Pro broadcasts. They're kind of from a distant, almost like 40-degree angle. So it wasn't until we got a close up that, at least for me, I was like, oh, that really is just a training tee.
yeah, and the original view I saw was from the side when the match first started, to where you can't see front or back. You just see color on the side. And I thought, why is Vancouver wearing t-shirts? And then the more black people I saw coming to the field, I'm like, oh, that's not Vancouver. That's Rapids too. Why are they wearing t-shirts? Yeah, I guess these things happen.
I mean, like, what was that Matt Wells quote earlier in the season? He's like, I want the team to play with a personality and identity such that if they went out there in plain t-shirts, everyone would know exactly who they are.
they they did it. They did it. Um, but they concede in the ninth. Then the ruler, Mamadou Bilo Diop, you could tell he's been training with Hoffa, expertly presses, gets the ball from the keeper, has someone hanging off his shoulder, and then just as he's falling, gets the equalizer. Um, and that's where the scoring will stop until penalties. And they did better on penalties than they have, I think, so far this season, but still end up losing. So another tough one where I feel like they probably should have won and they didn't.
Yeah, I like that shout out Bilo and his time with Hoffa. That was something I think we talked about at the beginning of the season is if it means less minutes on the field with R2, I just want Bilo to basically walk around with Hoffa Navahu everywhere he goes and just soak everything up. Darren Yapi had a cool quote about that. I think it might have been in Braden's piece as well, about what he's learned from Hoffa. And Darren was like, I've learned a lot. I also think Hoffa's learned a lot from me. We have very different play styles. So I think there's a benefit there. And for someone as young as Bilo at 18, who has all of the length and height to be one type of striker, to start learning kind of the hold up play and distribution of Hoffa, and then the ability to enter channels and timing of Darren Yapi. Like, I just want him to soak all of that up because we definitely have a wealth of talent in that situation. Even watching Alex Harris, the way he manipulates the fronts as a forward is something that I think Bilo should be soaking up.
Yeah, I think the last piece we gotta give him the weight room. He's still a little undersized, I think, for the style of play that they're looking to play. But he proved that even with that, like he was still causing problems in the press, I think, all match. I also think I don't think he's gotten on the score sheet yet with a goal. I think he's gotten an assist or two. Stephen Matuda has looked well the last two matches. He's been all over the field. He's pressing well, he's distributing well. Um when it clicks for him, it's gonna be really good as far as actually producing stats. But, because if you just look at the farm mob ratings, you're like, "Oh, he's been meh." But if you actually see him play, he's been a lot better than what the stat sheets indicate.
I don't I don't want to like go on a thought mob tangent. I think we all use thought mob. Those ratings are helpful. I think in MLS Next Pro, I kind of throw those with a grain of salt. Like, this is much more of an eye test league for me when I'm watching it. And what Sid's been doing, moving across the formation, playing different roles, having different responsibilities, is definitely something I'm excited about.
Yeah, and I think we saw a lot of that from him in the Houston match as well. Not so friendly on that match. They end up falling 3-1 to Dynamo Stills this past Sunday. There were some positives. Alex Harris picked up his first goal of the season. Will again gets his first assist, which was on that goal. But we again see a problem that's plagued them this season when Charlie Harper gets a red card in the 44th minute. At that point, when they got the red card, they were down 1-0. And about 2 minutes later, actually about 5 minutes later in the stoppage, they get up 2-0, and it just kind of felt like that was it after that. They still fought, but it went up as high as 3-0. Then Alex Harris scored the goal. Looked like it was gonna be interesting. There was a penalty granted. There was a discussion about who the foul was on, and then a penalty was taken away, and the foul was given to Houston for a free kick. Odd, especially given that it's hard to say that the Rapids fouled Houston if you look at the play. Um, he moved directly into the path of the Rapids 2 player, did not make a play on the ball, but somehow he's fouled. I guess it is what it is. It could have been worse, especially in that first 20 minutes. Campanola absolutely on his head. I think he had 5 saves in that first 20 minutes, being absolutely shelled. Like, they were coming hard at them in those first 20 minutes. Easily, probably on a bad day from Zach, could have scored 3 goals in those first 20 minutes. Um, but he had those 5 saves, kept them in the match, and then he did as well as he could do for that. Rapids 2 dominated possession, but it was Houston that dominated the chances, and after going down to 10 men, it was hard for them to get into that match.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout on Zach. I'll backtrack a little bit and say the conversation we had after the last DU match. I did a little digging, and these referees are like pro two. So just like we're reviewing MLS Next Pro games, these are pro two referees. So they're also learning. They're handling new game situations as they come. This one that you pointed out, I thought was particularly funny when one person calls one thing, there's no VAR, and then the other guy's like, hey man, like, come over to the sideline. I was actually calling this. And he goes, oh, that makes sense. And then we're all like, that's not at all what happened. So interesting to see. I really thought that was a pen.
Was the first goal of Houston's or the second? I can't remember. They they get a penalty called, which I don't think is a penalty. um, And there's no conversation about that one whatsoever. I mean, the side judge has a better view, I think, than the ref, and it's like, I'll just let him call what he's going to call. Especially if you're not going to have VAR. Like I would have, even if I think the conversation is wrong and does not lead to the what I think is the correct outcome, at least have it. I mean, because those are the only angles you're going to get and the only help you're going to get.
Yeah, I'll give them the excuse that when the sun gets low at DU, it really gets in your eyes, and sure, yeah, why not? But other than that, I do think you were right. Zach absolutely stood on his head, made save after save after save. I thought the goals that went in were more of midfield and defensive breakdowns than Zach uh, not having shot stopping prowess there. So kudos to him on that one. One of the things I think we talked about after the game was that when Charlie went off for the red, and you and I debated this, I'm very much of the belief that that was the right call. Charlie got he got turned and then tried to turn his man, and that was absolutely a red. It happens. But it seemed like the team kicked into a different gear when they were down to 10 men. We've seen this with the first team too. Like when they're at 11, they're playing very scripted, they know what they're going to do type ball. When they get down to 10, it's almost like giddy up kind of soccer. And at least from this standpoint, it felt like we needed and appreciated the giddy up type soccer of the gear kicking in when the 10 men came on. Immediately after the half, we saw Eric sub embrace Jameson for Noah Stronauer to kind of get more of an offensive presence in there, and then also Jabari Decato for Nathan Chumba. Jabari is really good at getting up and down that right flank and doing overlaps. So Jabari and Bryce coming on as a tandem did seem to move the ball a lot more up and down offensively on the right side.
Yeah, and that's where the action was, I think, on that penalty, not penalty, was the combination play with Jameson and Dakota. I think it was Dakota that they say fouled the Houston player, but he was fouled. But it was something that was obviously working. Um, it may be a combination that he looks at going forward. Not that they haven't played together. I don't think they've played together with that understanding of how they wanted to attack, which I think was a new wrinkle. So it could be something to look forward to. Uh, Especially this Sunday. They have a match at home versus the Sunshine Band, KC and the Sunshine Band too. It will be their reverse fixture. Didn't go their way the first time around. They're both still bottoms in the Western Conference. KC two has 7 points. Rapids still have just a three. Biggest difference is KC has a win. Rapids don't. Um, but at some point, a win's gonna come. It's not like they're playing
All right,
terrible.
Sam Cook.
And I know. Um, it's not like they're playing terrible football. It's just things haven't really gone their way. Some of the things have been in their control. Some of the things have not been in their control. At some point, it's gonna click. I think we're getting hairy on making the playoffs at this point if they don't start jacking up some wins here. But I think that's they want to make the playoffs. I think the main concern of Boucher, of Coach Wells, is at the end of the day they become better football players. Um, Losing sucks, but it also makes you a hell of a football player in certain circumstances, and I think that's what's going to happen with this team.
Yeah, I mean, you were nice there. I'm gonna sugarcoat it less. I don't think they're playing great team football. I think we're seeing individuals playing good soccer, but I think what the team product on the field right now is less than what should be the product of their cumulative talent. And I we've talked about this again. I know it's a crutch or an excuse to make, but they are implementing and learning a completely different system, which doesn't necessarily suit the strengths they played to last year. But you're right. When they get that system to click, it's not going to make them just better soccer players individually. It's going to make them have so much more synergy as a team and have the ability to progress their careers into the first team roster, into other football programs. So it's one of those, like, you take your medicine now, like, relearn these systems and then prosper. Or as you succinctly put it, Keith, it's an even year. So I think we can chalk it up to that.
I think it's a proven fact at this point.
I mean, that
2023 amazing, 2024,
that feels
2025 amazing, 2026 they arguably come in with a better team, and it's just not happening.
Yeah, I feel like that's the development cycle. Like, all right, you guys aced it last year. Cool. Now we're back into year one of a 2-year cycle. So which means look out next year.
With 2023 to 2024, they lost a lot of key players between 2023 and 2024. Addison players, but just didn't work out. But they came back with that group and killed it. 2025, 2025, they lose some key players, add some good players, not meshing yet. So 2027, the natural progression of what they've gone through means they're winning MLS Next Pro Championship in 2027.
You heard it here first. Don't gamble on this, guys, but go to MLS partner Polymarket to buy some peer-to-peer future derivatives on. Uh, I think as we look at this Sunshine Band matchup, let's talk about some of those individual player performances and kind of look towards where they'll build for this match. I think you and I both talked about, we've been really impressed with the step up Ali Fadal has taken on field from a soccer standpoint, but also on field from a personality and leadership standpoint. The guy is just playing as hard as anyone else on the pitch for either team. He's all over. He's doing what he's needing to do, but he's also really communicating and trying to push the team forward. What do you think of Ollie's performance last game and looking towards what will probably be the captain again this game?
Yeah, and that's another person, Mr. Kirkham talked about at F1 last night. Um, and the biggest thing for him is what Brian said. He's been healthy this season. Um, the past is it is this his third season?
Second.
Second? Yeah. So like last season, he had a lot of injuries, wasn't able to get on the pitch. Um, but even though he has scary moments every match, it feels like he hasn't had significant injury yet. Hope that stays the same, but it shows with him being able to. The more he's on the pitch, the better I think he looks. I mean, it earned him a first team debut in the Open Cup match against Colorado Springs Switchbacks. Which, not to change the subject, we would be remiss to say, rest in peace, Ryan Saban, who unfortunately lost his life during that match. I thought certain prayers are with his family, his friends, C38. But we hope that uh, that win at least brought some measure of joy to his family in that tough time. They'll be honoring him at the match on Saturday. I believe the players will be wearing black armbands again. Moment of silence before the match, and then something in the 44th minute for him as well. So, if any of his family is listening, we're with you. We hope the best for you, and rest in peace to Ryan. But I'll leave for dog gets put into that match in an extremely difficult position. They're down a man. They are trying not to concede a goal while trying to score a goal to not go into extra time, and he 1000% did not look out of place. He looked like he belonged. Did he look like um Rodri from City in his heyday? No, but I think he looked just fine in those minutes that he got. Yeah,
Yeah, you pointed out injuries have kind of been the story for Ollie, even at Valencia when he signed to them out of the academy. Injuries kind of derailed that promise, which is probably why we were fortunate enough to get him here at Rapid. So for us to get to see Ollie's progress and consistency, and for him to get to experience that, like, I think it puts him back in the place where all of that promise we've heard of and seen sparks of, I think it's about to explode. I think that's definitely a name to watch as we head into this matchup. What other players do you have, Keith?
So it's gonna be interesting at center back, which seems to be the most interesting pairing throughout the season. So Charlie Harper's gonna miss this match because of his red card. So your likely starters are Kai Thomas and Grant Gilmore. I don't know how much they've played together this season. I have to look and see. But both fairly new into the Rapids to playing minutes in serious games. So I think that'll be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe Charlie just wanted to watch Avs hockey playoffs, and he was like, "I'll just get a cheeky red card right here, and they'll have the weekend off."
No,
We're just kidding about that one.
he was pissed.
Yeah,
He was walking off. And then I think I haven't heard any news on Donovan Phillip. It was confirmed on Sunday that he has been out the last 3 matches due to injury. They don't believe it's a serious injury, but they also do not give a time frame on his return. So, it'll be interesting to see if we see Diop back or if we see Philip return from injury here. I think you don't lose in any situation, um, but it would be nice to see Donovan going back again.
yeah. We'll try and get information on Donovan. I got the inclination that this will be another Belo game at forward. I think that's pretty safe to bank on. I think what'll be interesting this game, and one of the performances I wanted to call out from last one, is I thought Bryce Jamison, he comes in at halftime and played, I thought, every progressive minute that the game went on, he just played harder and harder, almost trying to single-handedly will the win himself. And he was getting in positions where he could have. It seemed like he really took the loss hard after that game. He was seen kind of sitting behind the goal on the end line, collecting his thoughts. And with a player as talented as Bryce is, like, I've been super excited since we signed him. I think to see that level of emotion is only going to come back better next game. I think he'll be even more of a force. Like, he seems like the type of guy that has the work ethic, that got that taste of, like, I could have done this, we could have done this, and that loss is only going to push him much farther. I think he's going to be a force this game. So look, when we get to the predictions, he's definitely going to be on my score sheet.
Yeah, I think it was his best match so far. He didn't score, but again, you can't just look at a score sheet. You have to actually watch the match, and he was on fire all match. And when we talked to Coach Boucher after the match, we asked him, what was the message at halftime?" He said, "I didn't say anything." It was largely a player-driven halftime, uh, player-driven after the match, players getting their frustrations out. And really, I kinda mentioned it, on Blue Sky after. It They're kinda to the point with the system where there's only so much they can be shown, now they have to do. I think Coach Eric Boucher is gonna guide them as best as he can. You can only coach it so far, though. At some point, they have to get it on the pitch, and I think with the way that that match went and them leading the conversation after the match, I think that's a good sign to where they're finally realizing, "Okay, we have the tools, we just need to use them."
Last two shots for me, and I think this is probably a product of having the Kamanis, the Sids, the Belos down and taking up our 2 minutes. Two guys I really enjoyed once they came on the pitch, and I really want to see more minutes from this upcoming game. Josh Copeland and Chris Aquino. Chris Aquino has been kind of notably absent. I don't know if he was nursing something, but when he came on the field, I thought he was immediately central connective tissue, opening passing lanes, holding up the ball, turning his defender to release other players. And then Cope was just on fire. I think he had 3 goal contributions in 2 games prior to this Houston match. So I want to see him back for the SK2 match to rekindle that hot streak he was on. So look out for those guys.
Yeah, I think while Sydney is a fantastic playmaker, Aquino is just a different type of playmaker to where Sid works out a lot in the wide areas, and then he'll drive himself up top as well. Whereas Chris is more like your traditional 10, um, to where he likes to sit centrally. He likes to see everything in front of him. He's not really looking to get ahead, which is fine. Not everyone needs to be up top. And you need players like him to be able to connect to players up top, which I think he showed a lot of flashes of that when he came on in the last match.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that that
that profile is one we've talked about in the first team. Like if Chris sharpens his axe down here with R2, fills that like creative, uh, incisive line splitter and distributor role as a 10, like he's got the full run ahead of him to progress that way. And Sid is still kind of going between whether he's winger, inverted winger. I know there's been talk about making him into a 10-second striker. So he has the benefit of youth and being versatile. But it did seem like it was a tailor-made position for Chris that he was dropped into at that point in the game. And he's also a dead ball specialist. If you recall that PK from the beginning of the season, I still think about that one. Want to jump into score predictions?
Yeah, let's go predictions. I keep picking wins. I keep getting burned. Um, but again, I feel like this is a match they can win. Even though the Rapids statistically are worse than the Sunshine Band, I think they have more talent personally. And sometimes talent is just going to win you matches. And I think for sure, for the 40th time, I think they get their first win of the season here. I'll go 3-1. I'll take. I'll steal one from you. I think Bryce Jameson's going to get a goal. I'll take Alex Harris to get another goal. And I think Sid opens up his account and gets his first goal of the season. He's had some good looks. I think he's finally going to bury one.
I like that. I like that. Let me deep breath. I'm definitely predicting the win here. I think we're gonna get R2 wins in dramatic fashion late. I think our goal scorer is going to be Bryce Jameson. I think Bilo Giap. And then I'd love to see Grant Gilmore, the kid, get one on a set piece. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah,
Those are my three.
I think they've had a
I think,
goal.
what's that?
I don't think they've had a set piece goal in quite a while. I don't think. Trying to think back.
Yeah. Let's go for that. Yeah. So Bryce, Bilo, Grant Gilmore, those are my three goals. We get our first one of the season because you'll remember this reverse fixture was a 2-2 draw that Rapids won in pens. That I think at that time we talked about like they should have won that one. I think they actually do this time.
Another controversial penalty, but I digress.
What's that?
Another controversial penalty, but I digress.
It feels like every match there's a controversial call for R2 games.
Yeah,
We were talking about maybe if we watch all of Next Pro, that's just how it is universally, but it definitely seems for R2.
there are a lot of penalties given. I know that from just following MLS Next Pro on Twitter. There are a lot of penalties given. Maybe it's just not the Rapids. But if you're not doing anything Sunday evening, match starts at 6. Be at the big
At the
stadium.
Dick, right?
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're at
be
the
at the
Dick.
big stadium this match. So it's cheap, it's fun. Come on, support the kids. Don't usually get big crowds. You could spend. I think tickets are like $5, maybe $10. You spend it on a cup of coffee every day. Come out. But stop by. We'll
Bring
be there.
bring sunglasses and a hat
Yeah,
because of sunset.
yes, because you will be in the sun. I can't say too much. I think it's terrible that they don't let us on the other side, but whatever. But come say hi if you see us walking around there. But until next time, I am Keith Richards with Team MBS Media. That's Matt Wickham with Pitcast and Up the Kids.
Up the kids.